principles of epidemiology. Yes. So that is epidemiology studies. So what is the purpose of research? So important terminology. What is the objectives of research in the epidemiological studies? So that is in the epidemiological studies, the research work is defining the research and epidemiology. So that is and discuss the purpose of research. So what is the purposes, what is the concept of research, purpose of research, and finally the concluded that one. So this so research is the important for increasing the scientific knowledge. So research is helps to increasing the scientific knowledge. It is the systemic investigations. Research is the systemic investigation. So testing and evaluating. So that is so very important. Investigation, testing, and evaluation of the reaching a new concept or new conclusions. So in the epidemiology, so the study of research work in the relation of occupational health, it is called as epidemiology. So epidemiology is the distributions and determinants of health related states. So this signified specified for populations and applications of the study of control of health problems. How to control the health problems in the by the study of research work. So investigation concluded and finally implemented the occupational health. So this it is the this epidemiology is a branch of science. It is a medical science. Epidemiology is a branch of medical sciences. So it treats of epidemics. So it treats the epidemics. So this is the mass phenomenon of infectious diseases for the study of infectious diseases. So hence this disease is a distributed community or populations. So what are the factors which determine the distributions? So this what are the important factors? For example, so they are asking in the question what define the epidemiology. That's 2 mark questions. So this research, what is the purpose of this epidemiology research work? So that is it. So it is important work for give information about diseases or health status. So this epidemiology give an information about diseases and health status. So this risk factors, health status, risk factors, and some of the outcomes of interventions and functional ability, some of the physiological functions in the body. What are the ability? So if proper function is occurred in living organisms, so that is also abilities. So that is functional abilities and health care utilization. How to controlling the health care. So that is also important. So then what is the development of therapeutics? So treatment to prevention, control of the diseases. So that is called development of therapeutics, treatment modalities. What are the advanced technology for controlling the this infectious diseases and applied for vaccines. So vaccines is in healthcare is result for intervention studies. So this epidemiological research provides solutions to workplace related to problems of workers and suitable remedial measures. So this is important. So some of the important epidemiology distribution of diseases and that factors which determined. So for example, prevalence. So prevalence, so incidence, so some of the different studies under the epidemiological studies. What is prevalence? So just for asking the words in the examination. So write a note on prevalence. So prevalence is the number of existing cases of diseases. Prevalence. So that is either as old or new. Either as old or new. So that is prevalence is the number of existing cases so of diseases in the population during defined period, during the period. So during the one period or 6 months period, so the number of existing either as old or new cases of diseases in the population. So prevalence is equal to incidence into mean durations. So diseases in the defined period. So that is, so this prevalence is a implies of coal. It is applied in mines workers. So it may be because of heavy load in my workers in the mine. So that is very in the dust areas. So that is because of the heavy load that carry on their back or their phone, poor physical health. So carry of backbone. So they are carrying the heavy loads on the backside. So they face the problem of prevalence of backage. That called as prevalence of backage among employees of a coal type. So this is coal mine is a very dangerous workers because it working in dangerous places. And incidents, some of the incidents is the number of cases that develop in a population during the period. So many incidents are probability occurrence of number of workers in the field of incidents. So this epidemiological research work is important for controlling these incidents. So that is called as there are different types of incidents, cumulative incidents, incidence density. So they are different. So the number of new cases of the health outcome, so they are event during a given period time, the population of risk is called as cumulative incidence. So this cumulative incidence is an dangerous so workers in the field of that measures. So and another important topic to today to discussing about burden of disease and plan of action. So burden of disease and plan of action for environment and occupational health. So in the for as for your MAEOH, Master of Environmental Occupational Health Hazards, so the many of them are coming from outer background. You should understand for what is the burden of disease. What is the burden of disease and plan of action for environmental and occupational health hazards. So this is so important for burden of occupational health diseases. So this previous in the previous units we discussing about concept of environmental and occupational health. So in the yesterday and before yesterday last periodical units, so we discussing about concept of environmental and occupational health. So occupational factors are linked with environmental factors. Occupational factors are linked with environmental factors. So that is this includes either as I already discussing physical, chemical and biological factors. So around in and around of working environment. So this understand how our health is affected by a occupational environment. So to discussing this period, so occupational health is important for of the studies. So this is the we can change either in a short or long term. So what are the objectives of occupational burden of diseases and environmental occupational health diseases? Also asking the questions in this one. So explain the concept and importance of occupational environment. So that is the concept and importance of occupational environment. So that is this is the important. So means the conditions. So that is workers. The environmental may affect the health of workers either in positive or negative directions. So this healthy motivated work, this healthy motivated work, so this is man and different. So usually there are three different types of interactions in working environment. So there are three different interactions working in working environmental period. So man are the different physical, chemical and biological agents. So what are the biological toxicants? What are the biological agents, environmental agents, and man and machine and man and man. So these three types of interactions in working environment. So that is, for example, man, physical, chemical, and biological agents. So these are the important to discussing. So this biological agents, for example, physical agents. So what is physical means physical factors. So that is these includes excessive level of noise. So physical factors, physical balance of the body. So man and physical, chemical and biology agents. That is a concept of occupational environment. So we are all living organisms living in environment with suitable surrounding factors. So this large number of chemicals are associated with occupational diseases. The many diseases are coming from many chemicals. So these chemicals are usually enter our body. The chemicals are usually enter our body through the inhalation during inspiration. So during respiratory route. So during in the respiratory route during inhalation, the many of the chemicals are entered to our body. So during either as a respiratory route or as a oral route or ingestion route. Ingestion means entry of food into the body through the mouth. So that is called as ingestion, or through the skin. So there are physically there are number of chemicals are enters into the body through the skin, through the oral, through the nasal. So these three content. So inhalation and dermal exposure, so skin exposure present the main pathway. So this exposure to hazardous substance at work. So this is an important discussions for physical agents. Some other biological agents. So biological agents, chemical agent, and some physical agents. So these agents are affect to human beings. So human body. So this biological agents is very important. Imbalance of some of the there are two major groups of biological agents. So among them, agents causing occupational diseases of the respiratory tract and skin. So respiratory tract. So that is trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, which leads into the lungs. Lungs are the respiratory organ and blood purifying organ. So these diseases are common mostly among agricultural workers. So in the respiratory problem is mostly the workers in the agricultural field. So and some of the agents, some of the chemicals, so causing infectious diseases that could be spread by tick or insect vectors. Some of the many diseases are coming from ticks or insects. So that is the infectious diseases. So this group of diseases which also transmit, some of the diseases also transmitted from animal to man. So these biological agents which affect the diseases, how to control it, very important. And some of the man and machine, the workers in the industrial field, agricultural, some of the machines, man and machines. So this any activities. So can you think of any activity where machines are not involved? So that is, there is an involvement of machines in all workplaces. So that is activities is involvement. The machines, without machines activities there is no in the industries field. So many new types of machineries. So there are new varieties of machineries, so that working in the place. Also introduced every year the many machines are introduced. So this working, so the working for long hours with different types of machines, working for long hours with different types of machines, definitely which affect the health of the workers. Continuously exposing the chemicals in the industrial field. So there are the machines are used in the industries. So continuously exposing the health problem is immediately affected. So that is man and machines. So machines are working, the workers, the humans are working in with machines in the industrial field, anywhere. So not only industrial field, anywhere you work with the machines which affect indirectly to infectious diseases started in the body. So and another important is man and man. So many people, for many peoples in the working environment, so they spend most of the waking hours. So that, for example, workers interact with colleagues, so in the office, in the park, in the public. So they, many workers are interacted with colleagues, superiors and others. So this supporting staff of workplace, so they are, anywhere you go working, their cooperation with others, cooperate with colleagues, officers, any. So for example, in poor human relationship, poor human relationship results in job frustration. So that is poor human relationship which results in job frustration, stress, anxiety and depression. So that is, nobody can talk with, no can talk with you, so it affect go, you will automatically go to depressions. So depressions which affect stress automatically. Stress is very important for health. Mentally you are free, physically you are free. Now you, wherever you go and work, that is sufficient. So that is, so what is the burden of occupational and environmental diseases? What is the burden of occupational and environmental diseases? So this occupational diseases is a group of diseases. So having a strong relations or specific relations. So that is occupational diseases is a group of diseases having a strong relations to occupation. Wherever occupational health means, so the occupation wherever you working, the working place, working environment, surrounding environment is very important. You, for example, you working in the office, the surrounding environment is important. Otherwise the anxiety, stress, that is very, this is also very dangerous. So in occupational place, for example, you working in the industries, in the surrounding interactions and cooperate with each other, otherwise you start a stress, that is also go to depression. So that is frustrations are developed. So this occupational work related diseases. So because they are asking the questions in the exam, it is very important. Occupational health and environment is important. Surrounding environment, you are working in the office, the surrounding environment is important. You are working in the agricultural field, the environment is also important. To cooperate with each other, the in the superior persons, other persons, how you talk with, that is important. So that is group of diseases with multiple causing agents, that is called as work related diseases. So work related diseases is a group of diseases with multiple causing agents. What are the multiple causes? Where the factors in the work environment may play an important role. Factors are working in the industries, the work environment is may important role, because they together with other risk factors in the development of such diseases. So this diseases is leads to dangerous. So that is occupational injury. Some of the occupational injury is that is called any injury diseases. So that so that important to discussing about this one. So this occupational any injury, disease, uh, or any problem. So that is diseases or death resulting from a occupational accident, many which leads to peak also. So that is very very dangerous. So this occupational incident is and unexpected. So that is occupational incident means, so it is an unexpected and unplanned occurrence. It is unexpected and unplanned occurrence, including acts of violence. Some of the disturbance are appear in the working place. So that is including a act of violence in connection with work, where results in any work occurring in injury, disease or death. So some of the measures of burden of diseases, some of the measures of burden of diseases for occupational and environmental health. So this understood what is meant by environment and occupational burden of diseases. So what is meant by what? Define burden of occupational and environmental diseases. So this means an amount of disease. So how much amount of disease caused by environmental and occupational factors. So we discussing which is an important. So that is how much amount of disease is caused by an environment and occupational factors. So and it is also a range of measures. So how much? So that is range within a short of time. How much the spreading of diseases? So that is called as range of diseases or indicators are used to express a burden of disease for occupational and environmental health. So disease proportion in the incident. So that is total number of new cases, the total number of new cases or total cases are appear in the working places. So that is also measures of burden of diseases. And finally, economic cost. So loss of the diseases are appear in the occupational, in the environment. So that is finally we lost the economics. So that is economic loss. So this estimation of, so measures of occupational and environmental diseases and also that is area of estimation of burden of occupational health. Measure is over, and what is the estimation? So finally economic loss, then so that is estimation of burden of occupational diseases. So some of the important issues so that you keep in mind, so about estimation of total magnitude of the problems. So this data, so that data of occupational incidents and diseases are not easily available, but it is under reporting a major problem. So data collection is a very danger. So how it collected? Because it is wherever you working in the occupational place, the diseases are not easily measured. It is difficult to conducting the results. So usually the information for occupational diseases so is obtained from different sources. So for example, that is insurance institutions. So there are many diseases are yeah, that is reported in insurance the insurance institutions. So that is even also labor inspectors, occupational health services, or other some authorities and bodies also. So they are informations for occupational diseases. Most of the time workers in rural areas. Most of the times workers in rural areas, they are small and medium sized, they are small and medium sized enterprises. So their informations are existing in reporting system. So the workers employed in temporary, the some of the workers are used temporarily, casual or part-time job, so that they are often not included in the existing reporting system. So nowadays workers are changing jobs. Nowadays the number of workers are changing their jobs so frequently, and thus their exposure to various agents are also changing. So this makes it difficult to determine the association of the diseases, because with the occupation and environment, it is dangerous. So that is some of the diseases. So some of the diseases may appear long, sometimes they appears late, the appearance of symptoms in the body. So some of the diseases are may appear long after the worker's retirement from a particular job. So occupational health hazards is important in the environment, so that some of the diseases are appear later. So some of the head injury, it starting is okay, it later reactions is occurs in the body. Some workers may have developed some diseases which may be due to exposure of some substances. So some diseases occurs in the body which later appears when exposure to the other substances, so which are still not known and hazardous. So not, it is not still, but we expected some disease also. So what do you understand by occupational environment? Define occupational disease and work related diseases. So name indicators are to measure burden of diseases in content to occupational health. So these are number of factors. So that is appears from burden of occupational and environmental problems health. So diseases of burden in a global and Indian. So that is disease burden. So global burden means, so according to Indian length, that is every year more than 2.3 million workers die at work from a occupational injury or diseases. So that is injury. So for example, in Africa, the highest number of death in occupational accident. So approximately about 17% to percent, that is 17%, that is 1 lakh persons in the labor force. So that is followed by Asia. So even Asia also, the per 1 lakh there are 12.7 persons in the labor phases. So there are many occupational communicable diseases and accidents are more prevalent in developing countries. So this every day. So for example, every day the many they occupy approximately about 6,400 people are die from occupational incidents. So this occupational accident, so diseases is very dangerous. The environmental surrounding factors is the personal hygienic is important. So we only maintaining the controlling the diseases, because many pathogens are occurs in the environment which causes the diseases. So these diseases are finally losing the economic cost. So International Labour Organization, that is ILO, International Labour Organization or ILO, has estimated that the total cost of occupational accidents and work it related to diseases. So that is about 4% of gross. So national at global level. At global level, it is a economic loss. So the occupational diseases is affect the where workers in the field, particularly in the agricultural field, industries, even also the stress or mental stress is also affecting many diseases go to depressions. So physical strength is weak. So this uh, changing. So this for this we changing the pattern of occupational diseases. We automatically be changing the pattern of occupational diseases. So occupations is very very important for persons who working in the field of anywhere. So that is so this pattern of occupational diseases. So that is well-known occupational disease. For example, pneumoconiosis, that the respiratory disease. So pneumonia. So pneumoconiosis is the disease. So it is still present in identified for occupational diseases. It is a musculoskeletal disorder. So that is skeletal disorders and muscles. So skeletal and muscles are lining the skeleton of the body. So this skeletal system. So this skeletal system helps in movement. So during with the help of contraction and relaxation of the body, so there is skeletal disorders are produced. That is called as MSDS, musculoskeletal disorders, and some of the mental health disorders. So in the occupational field, in the occupations, so the mental disorders are appears. So that is it is disturbed from surrounding environment. So this it is disturbed from surrounding environment. So the many occupational workers are facing the problems. So this is that is increased involvement of automation and computers in the different industries. So the computers, so always from last continuous working in the field of computers. So that is exposure to workers to posture which involvement prolonged standing and sitting. So continuous sitting in front of computers. So in the office, so there is a work related stress, depressions and anxiety. So this is a occupational, it is a burden of diseases in the occupation and their environment. So this is very very important wherever you go working. So your occupational work, so you take be positively working and be hope always. So that is important. So this so and another important is gender difference. So that is for example, so this is pattern of occupational disease and gender. So that it is a pattern of, it is a pattern of occupational disease and gender. So what this due to fact, so more men often involved in factories, more men were work working in factories, so construction, so and mining. Many of the men so working in this because they are hard working heavy metals, so that is carrying to one place to other places for these purposes. So that is more men are involved in factories, so constructions and mining. So this situation is changing fast. Yeah. So that is it is often noticed both gender being involved in all types. So that is of works. So that is works. So this even also women, so that is women of reproductive age. So a woman of reproductive age being exposed to different toxic elements. So in the workplace or susceptible to it is adverse effect on reproductions. So when female workers working in the this field which affect the problem on reproduction. So like abortions, so or fetal malformations, so and some in which complete it leads to infertility. So the workers, the female workers in the field of mine or any industries, so that dust or enters into the body. So imbalance of production of hormones or not able to and uterus problems, so that is which leads to infertility or some abortions or also fetal malformation. So for this there is increase in evidences that these problems may affect the male workers too also. So that is, so this is the gendered burden of occupational health hazards. So some of the occupational injuries, so that is occupational diseases of public health interest. So that is also occupational disease of public health uh, injuries. So this is world, for example, according to World Health Organization estimates every year there are 3,50,000 deaths, 3,50,000 deaths due to fatal occupational accidents. So fatal means ending the death because of, so about their workers are working in occupation and their environment. They are facing many problems. So will you say the females and men and women working in the industry, so minefield, heavy works, the facing the problems is many. So this accidental causing serious injuries and so they are from the workers. So this wherever you working places, we facing the problems is many. So that is it is important for working this problem to for example work related diseases. Some of the work related diseases, that is I already tell you, according to estimate the works related cause of main cause of death at work. So main cause of death at work, uh, killing almost 6 times more than worker than occupational accidents. So these diseases are classified under categories. So they are so that the multiple factors, including the individual's occupations or responsible for development of work related diseases. So what are these responsible for development of work related diseases? For example, that is musculoskeletal disorder. So muscles and skeletal system is, so skeletal, so that is bone, so that is strength of the body is mainly the muscular system and skeletal system. So that is when wherever you go, body movement is very very important. So that is musculo skeletal disorder is because they are hands, legs, body, head, so they are all made up of bones, muscles and bones. So with the help of muscles, so bones, they are working, they are cooperating with each other. So first the diseases are appears in the occupational place, that is musculoskeletal disorder. So this disorder of locomotor system, so this is contract because of their muscular system is rich in proteins called as actin and myosin. With the help of these proteins, the during a movement, the muscles are contractions. Contractions, contraction and relaxation of proteins in the muscles, so they are helps in movement and working. So this which includes involvement of muscles, so musculoskeletal disorders, so which includes involvement of muscles, bones, tendons. Tendons means joining the bone from one bone to another bone. Joining is called as tendons. So even also cartilage. Bone and cartilage is a type of skeletal system. So bone is hard and inflexible, and cartilage is soft and uh, flexible. So that is cartilage is tough and flexible. For example, respiratory system, trachea, the windpipe is made by cartilage. So that is when during the neck movement, bending the neck, so that is movement of neck, it is mainly by cartilage. So windpipe or respiratory system is mainly made by cartilage. and bone, all the thigh bone, hand bones, they are endoskeleton is a skeletal system that is called as bone. So this labor organization estimates, so that is more is 40% of more the diseases are facing the workers is musculoskeletal diseases. So and another important disorder, so that is work related diseases is mental and behavioral disorder. Mentally you are free, so that is behaviorally you are fit. Behavior is also very very important. Mentally you are fit, they are working easy. Otherwise even also the mentally disorders, mental disorder, so mentally disturb, you mentally disturb in the occupation, working in the working place. So this growing number of workers are complaining that they are suffering from depressions. So from morning to evening, working in front of computer, slowly going to depression because they are slowly slow down the mental activities, so activities. So even also problem of sleep deprivations, so anxiety, stress, and job. Finally, their job burnout. So this mental and behavioral disorder is important. So there are many risk factors for mental health. So that is communicate, coordinate, and controlling all functions of the body if the brain is proper working. So if brain is proper working, so they are the mental health that may be present in the working environment. So this organization and managerial environment and policies continue this one. So some of the mental health disorders can lead to harmful use of substances. So some of the mental health disorders, continued intake of coffee, alcohol, so that is which causes the mental disorder. Drugs. So drugs is also very very dangerous to mental problems. So that is even also sometimes hypertension. So easily tensed by, so in over 90% of patients with hypertension. So that is because from work, so facing the problem. So there are many. So they are 90% of the patients are hypertension. The disease is called as essential hypertension. So, so that is called as and no cause can be identified. So that is hypertension. There are no cause can be identified, but genetically predispositions in an important risk factors. So, for example, working in mining and processing industries, so that is which leads to in far which affect the increase in blood pressure. So that is our environmental and occupational factors which have been linked with the development of stroke or exposure to arsenic, so environmental noise, so that is which linked to a stroke. Many of the workers working in the mine, so for example, so the even also noise, environmental noise which affect the stroke. So this important, so other factors is also developed of hypertension, like include their dietary habits, so excess salts and fats which leads to hypertension, so obesity and some physical inactivity which leads to a hypertension. Some of the coronary heart diseases, that is called as coronary heart disease, pulmonary heart disease, and coronary heart diseases. So coronary artery is a artery that supply oxygenated blood to wall of the heart for beating heartbeat. So if wall of the heart is function there, the coronary artery supply energy to wall of the heart and supply oxygen to wall of the heart. So heart is heart this for normal functioning. So heart diseases are becoming more common among young working places populations. So it is more common in men than women. So below 45 years of age, so they are more common, but in older age, there are two sexes may be equal. So risk of coronary heart disease is associated with hypertension. So high dietary fat intake, if fat more intake of fat during diet, so high serum cholesterol and results in overweight. So this coronary heart disease is usually a type of A person. So this uh, uh, coming the disease is aggressive, competitive persons in anxious, so impatient, and also uh, overload at work is known as associated with coronary heart disease in over pressure of working. So over pressure of working which affect to coronary heart diseases, which affect to coronary heart diseases. So even also psychosocial stress, tension and stress is controlling of tension and stress is important. So tensionless free and stressless free working is very very important. So psychosocial stress is increase serum cholesterol causing hypertension. So this occupational factors related to uh, work, it is exposure to carbon disulfide, carbon monoxide and nitrates. So the exposure to noise also, so which affect the heat and cold also, which affect the coronary heart diseases. So that is, and also ulcer, peptic ulcer. So ulcer, acidity, ulcer, cancer, these are also a burden of diseases and plan of actions for environment and occupational health. So this peptic ulcer, is several risk factors have been associated with the development of gastric and duodenal ulcer. For example, if frequent intake of coffee, alcohol, and spicy food, which results in excessive secretion of acid-rich gastric juices. So, if untreated, hyperacidity leads to ulcer. So, ulcer is a localized crater buildup like wounds occurs in gastrointestinal tract. That is called as mouth ulcer, gastric ulcer, peptic ulcer, duodenal ulcer. So, many ulcers are developed. It is a localized because it occurs only in gastrointestinal tract. Ulcers are appears only in gastrointestinal tract. So the symptoms is crater like wounds. They appear bleeders and atta. So appears they are symptoms of blood bleeding, and it is a crater like wounds. So this ulcers is some of the use of certain machines that is and usually in the field. So that is some of the medicines are uses, that is analgesics and non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs are, so they are users. So use of certain chemicals. So they are smoking, medical illness, so surgical procedures, so type of, so they are facing the problems. So that is so occupational factors is also associated. The peptic ulcers include jobs with high degree of responsibility, heavy workload, so that is long working hours, working place stress, so that is irregular shift work and stress at work. So the many working places, so they are this ulcers are is also develops. Not proper dieting during working places. So in the empty of food in the stomach, empty of food in the stomach results in excessive secretion of acid-rich gastric juices. So that is called, it appears a peptic ulcer, gastric ulcer, mouth ulcer, and duodenal ulcers are developed. So that is proper dietary system is important. So that is, and even also the diseases, the burden of disease and plan of action for environmental occupational health, the cancer is also facing the problem. So that is our problem plan of action from this cancer is also more than 20 environmental and occupational agents, more than 20 environmental and occupational agents are a lung carcinogens. So prove from the diseases is carcinogenic age, lung carcinogenic problems. So this the environmental factors. So it is measured by. So that is it is measured in environmental occupational problems. So this occupational exposure to objects. So that is aluminium productions. Painting increases the chance of having a lung cancer. So workers working in painting factories, painting work, so facing the problems having a lung cancer. So disease, now even also diesel agents. So the workers working in petrol pumps, that is exhaust is another important contributions of lung cancer. So that is for example lymphoma and leukemia, lacking of hemoglobin, leukemia. So that is anemia, leukemia. So that is blood cancer. So that is different types of blood cancers are appears. So different environmental exposures, for example exposure to benzene, so exposure to chemicals. So that is exposure to benzene. So that is some formaldehyde, the chemicals in rubber manufacturing purpose, workers working in industries like rubber manufacturing industries. So even also facing the problems in the various pesticides in agricultural field, so various pesticides and herbicides, particularly malathion chemicals. So that is uh, glyphosate. So there are many chemicals, they are herbicides and pesticides, they are and occupational exposures. So they are problem. Even also petroleum refining working. So these high benzene exposure occurring, so the production of many organic chemicals. So that is a risk of childhood leukemia. So the these agents are associated with facing the risk of leukemia. So continuously exposure to pesticides at home, the pesticides exposure at home. So and among pregnant women is associated with this increased risk of leukemia. So they are facing the problem. So even also X-ray radiations, X-ray and gamma radiations cause leukemia. So that is also continuously exposed to radiations from the X-ray or any gamma radiations which cause leukemia. So these are the burning of burden of diseases and risk factors. There are different facts. Cancers of mouth cancer, throat cancer is uh, among upstairs workers. So the miners, the working workers in mining. So that is even also tailors, blacksmith, carpenters. So transport workers facing the problem of cancer of mouth and throat cancer. So these risk factors, these risk factors are exposure to polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. So they are engine exhaust, textile dust, the in garments factories. In garment factories, the dust are exposure, that is textile dust, and working in rubber industries. So even also working in wood industries, that is wood dust. So that is working in rubber. So many process so causes a cancer of mouth and throat. So that is certain occupational painters. So that is dry cleaners. So So textile manufacturers are so higher risk of bladder cancer. Even also some bladder cancer also appear. So there are many cancer appears in the occupational places. So this exposure to automatic amines, so it is responsible for it. So this also a note aromatic amines are present in the diesel exhaust. So that is aromatic amines are exposed in the petroleum field, their appearance of cancer. So this topic, this burden of diseases. So asking the questions. So name some occupations. So where workers often develop a musculoskeletal disorders. So name some occupations where workers. So that is one question. So another important question is list three cancers. List three cancers that are associated with the exposure to chemicals at work. Three cancers: mouth cancer, so leukemia, peptic ulcers. So there are many that is develops. So that is cancers is lymphoma, leukemia. So that is cancer of mouth, throat cancer. So that is. So so this occupational health hazards, some of the occupational communicable diseases, some of the occupational communicable diseases are caused by work associated with the exposure to biological agents. So to different biological, what are the living biological agents means living pathogens. For example, bacteria, virus, fungus, and parasites. So that any infection is occupational. So the work involves contact with the biological agents. Some of the workers are working in near the standing water. So that is bacteria, virus. So dead bodies. So that is exposure is common. That is health working in hospitals. Workers. So workers working in hospitals, laboratories. So that is among veterinaries or agricultural workers in animal husbandry or dairy farms. So pet shop. So workers in the leather industries, they are facing the problems. So even also pulmonary tuberculosis, the that is TB TB patient. So they are familiar with term TB. TB is called a tuberculosis. Healthcare workers in hospitals, healthcare workers particularly. So in laboratories, so laboratory works, so and in veterinary clinics or particularly this facing the problem. So disease is caused by mycobacterium tuberculosis, a bacteria. It is a type of bacteria, smart transmitted occupationally using respiratory route. So the any organism enters into the body through the respiratory tract during inhalation, during respiration. So that is causes the a skin ulcer. That is also skin ulcers or appears when exposed to respiratory tract in different bacteria or agents. So this health education is important. Health education is very, very important, and proper disposal of infected material should be observed. So this diseases, that is viral, also some diseases are anthrax. So they are the exposure to workers, they are in the agricultural and animal husbandry. So that is the slaughterhouses, so tanneries. So they are facing the problem of anthrax. So infections can through the skin, lung, or intestine. So that is infectious diseases is through the occurs working in the field of this agriculture and animal husbandry. So that is also. So that is viral hepatitis B and C. So healthcare workers. So healthcare workers who are likely to come into contact with the blood and body fluids of infected persons are great risk. Some of the infectious diseases are spreading from during the transfusion of blood. So and body fluids during the working in body fluids and so blood, the infectious with the virus also often results in chronic active hepatitis. So that is liver cirrhosis, hepatic failure and liver carcinoma. Liver is damaged by infection of virus causes the disease called as hepatitis. Causes the disease called as hepatitis. So this so some of the acquired immunodeficiency syndromes are appears, that is facing the problem. So this is important plan for plan for option of occupational health also. So the even also environmental and occupational health. So how to concept of prevention, primary, secondary and tertiary. So that is how to prevent the factors diseases from the environment. So that is so health education in occupational health is important. Education is very important. Health education in occupational health. So that is health education means providing information, give information about different hazards. So this prevalent at workplace and change working behaviors in such a way which will be more conducive to health. That is so workers health global plan of action, that is according to World Health Organization, so recommends occupational health education as an essential component of health care. So essential component of health care is recommended by World Health Organization. So this it is a method of promoting health. It is a method of promoting health and preventing occupational diseases. So this is an importance of health education to prevent occupational diseases. So providing necessary information to the workers, so that is helps them understand the hazards at work and adopt some preventive measures. So that is so aim of health education is to develop a system capable of reducing occupational diseases. So important. So what are the principles? So that is ensure that the information is important to provide language and at literacy level at their involved in occupational health understand. So talk with employees, supervisors and workers, listens carefully to their problems. So find out attitudes and behavior, find out attitudes and behavior which can cause such problems. That is, try to find out the reasons of people's behavior and health problems, understand the problems of behavior and health. It should maintain, invite workers to give their idea to solving their problems. So encourage employees always. So the encourage is always, that is employee supervisor to select ideas or give ideas, that is give ideas, encourage in the workers in the situation. So they always give positive motivates in the working occupational place superiors. So that is so provide information on the safety, that is and health hazards of the workplace and controls of those hazards. So that is important. And another important, how to report hazards, injuries until educated is important, awareness is important. So that is important. So the employers is responsibility under the country a national program. So workers' rights as mentioned in different scheme and acts. So that is right. Name different levels of prevention in occupational disease. What is the importance of health education in the preventing occupational diseases? So that is occupational safety in accident prevention. So early detection of occupational diseases. So that is early detection, screening and surveillance. So immediately prevent and controlling this one. So that is some initial medical examination and collection of medical and occupational histories, that is occupational surveillance. So periodic examinations and test at regular scheduled intervals. That is testing is important. So that is take care immediately. So that is ongoing data analysis to evaluate collecting information. So that is, so workers training to recognize symptoms of exposure. So that is finally a written report medical findings. So this important to studies the problems. So this examples of early detection of occupational disease is important. For example, pneumoconiosis. It is a respiratory disease. So it is a group of disease due to inorganic and organic dust particles are entering the body, facing the problem of pneumonia. So this is important. So that is controlling easy. So that is important. So this so that is creating awareness is important. So that is disability. So that is chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases are appears the development. So generally we discussing about the today. So disease of lung is characterized by inflammation and loss of lung functions. That is called as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So that is many diseases are discussing and collecting the soft materials, prepare for examinations, and I wish you all the best for examinations. So that discussing today. So that is many ethical and legal issues are also reporting in infectious diseases. So that is ethical and legal. Legally we go, and ethical is also very very important to the during provisions. So that is nature of ethical and legal issues are involved while handling of sensitive data related to occupational disease and work related injuries. So role of ethics and conflicts of interest in recording and sharing of occupational health related data. So this is also important. Loss of confidentiality of medical records in India, and safeguard against theft, misuse, and unauthorized sharing of records. It is important. So that is workers health recorded related workers health environment. So this is also important. So that is industrial hygienic record. So sensitive information in the health and environmental records. So that is statutory provisions. So there are many ethical and legal testings, ethics and laws on conflictability. So this is today to discussing about these laws related and occupational diseases. So that is a burden. So that is, so any doubt, dear Swati, Anindya, that is Ravindra, today
No,
to
sir.
discuss. Okay, madam. So so that is then I will stop this topic. I wish you all the best for examinations. So if any doubt, please send through the mail. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಕಸ್ತೂರಿ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಇದು